Okay, we're back with part two of our conversation with David Rubenstein. Dan Schmidt and I are. And Dan, you've got the mic.
Okay, thanks very much. And thanks once again, David, for joining us for
Sure.
this interview on the work that you're doing and have been doing over a long period of time. Also, if I can add a little prefix to having you discuss as you wish on the series Iconic America and what it's all about and why you chose those symbols, if I could be allowed to just a few
Sure.
seconds on prefix. Our paths have crossed in philanthropy, I'm sure your own as well as ours at the Bradley Foundation, where we worked for many years. But it also crossed, in my case in particular, with the life and times and great work of James Billington, the Librarian of Congress. I know that you served as chairman for the
Right.
Madison Council, a council he dearly appreciated and dearly loved. Because of what this series is going to actually be a representative of, as well as your
Right.
philanthropy. Uh, so I was interested, really, I guess, taking Jim first in a very well-known and famous book, and I think one he dearly loved, perhaps you as well, "The Icon and the Axe." And hence, my question revolves around the title of the series first, whether indeed that had an influence on you, your work with Jim in terms of the iconic choice of iconic as the title, or even without that, if you see history and the importance of memory and place, relating the past to the present
Right.
to the future, whether that influenced you in any way, or even without a direct, sort of bow to that
Right.
influence, that the word icon is an interesting selection for you in terms of past, present, and future.
Well, the theory of studying history is that by learning the past, you can do things better in the future. A famous Harvard historian once said, "Those who don't remember the past are condemned to relive it." So, why do we study history? Well, we want to learn what people did before, but hopefully we can learn from them and improve upon what they did and make civilization better. The theory of progress is that you do things better in the future than you did in the past. That's why we study history. So, but how do we get people to study history? Well, right now, because of the obsession of STEM, people are afraid they won't get a job if they don't major in a STEM subject. History majors are at an all-time low in our American colleges, and we don't teach civics very much anymore in high school. And as a result, most citizens in the United States, based on recent surveys, native-born citizens cannot pass the basic citizenship test that foreigners who want to be citizens in this country pass. So there are many ways you can correct that, and I'm just one small person trying to do it. But one way was to kind of get people to watch something on television that is enjoyable, pleasant, and maybe educational. So in that goal, I developed with people that have won Emmy Awards in television production, a series designed to remind people of the meaning of various historical or patriotic icons of our country, things that people don't know as much about, but they learn more about it, they might learn more about our country and maybe be better and more informed citizens. So there are an infinite number of icons or symbols of our country. The flag, for example, would be one. You could argue the Capitol building, the Star Spangled Banner, a whole variety of different things. We had to pick eight, and we picked eight to have a geographical dispersion in the country and basically cover different types of things. So the eight that we covered in this series that'll be beginning on PBS in April and continuing through July, 8 1-hour shows that I helped put together are one, from the West Coast, the Hollywood sign in LA. It's become an iconic symbol of Hollywood, which is an important part of our culture. Two is the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, which is an iconic symbol of our creativity in building structures and in building things that bring people together, which it did with Marin County in San Francisco. And it's one of the most beautiful bridges in the world and one of the best known. From Texas, the American cowboy, which is a symbol for many people of the Wild West and the exploration and development of our country. Another is the American bald eagle, which was not officially the national bird, but a symbol of our country used in our Great Seal, for example. Another is a Statue of Liberty, which foreigners have seen as they came into Ellis Island and New York Harbor. It wasn't really designed to welcome immigrants, but it's become a symbol of that in many ways. Another symbol is the Gadsden flag, which was developed to fight the Revolutionary War. It says, "Don't tread on me." And actually, the people who were fighting against the United States, you could argue, on January 6th were ironically using that same symbol, that same flag called the Gadsden flag. Another one I've already mentioned, which is Stone Mountain, which is the largest piece of granite that extrudes from the surface of the earth. It's in Atlanta area, and that was used to carve the Confederate symbols that I mentioned earlier. And then Fenway Park will actually begin the series. Fenway Park is a symbol of our love of baseball and our love of sports as well. And it's the oldest baseball park still in use in the United States. So those are the symbols we chose. We could have picked many others, but it's a wide, background of different kinds of things, hopefully designed to get people to watch for about an hour on PBS these things about our country.
May I say your assistant was kind enough to share a few previews with us, and as you've just given us a very good description on sort of what the symbols are in the series, and indeed why you chose them, I might say, just as a sort of complimentary editorial comment, the Fenway Park, the green monster was very interesting as a sort of iconic standing symbol there, but also the memory piece of this, where the impressions of the ball that hit are left in place, which provokes
Yes.
that, as well as the discussion of these ballparks. One in our own city of Milwaukee had a minor league team, which became a major league team many years later, is in neighborhoods where immigrants often were and working people. So you had a kind of mixing of people. So just those as sort of, and I guess the Rocky one as well impressed me, even though we didn't see him run up the steps or eat the raw eggs. But it put together so in such a crafty manner, thanks to your leadership, obviously, and editorial direction, some of the basic values in America, which, as you said earlier in your introduction, are necessary, especially if there's been a disinterest that's crept in with respect to taking on, flaws and all, American history and the study of it.
Well, look, all of us who are Americans are obviously proud of what the country has been and become. Despite the flaws we've had, we have become the beacon of freedom and liberty in the world. We have 50 million people that have immigrated to this country. No other country in the world has attracted people the way we have. The second biggest country in terms of immigrants is Germany, with 5 million immigrants. We have 50 million, 10 times as many. Why are people coming here? Is it because it's such a terrible place to live? Well, it has its flaws for sure, but we are seen as a place where you can come and live the American dream. And that's why entrepreneurs and immigrants like to come to this country. And that's been the backbone of our country. Some of the most famous people in our country's history have been immigrants, or their parents were immigrants. So I try to remind people of the history and heritage of our country to the extent that I can. And it sounds like you and others on this call recognize that that our country has some challenges. And if we want to continue to be the beacon of liberty and freedom in the world, we have to make sure that our country is still strong and kind of take the strength from our past and improve it in some ways when we can.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Well, great. Why don't we end the conversation there with great thanks to
right.
David Rubenstein for
All
giving
right.
the time this morning. We very much appreciate it.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. Thank you very much for the time. Okay.